Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Ben Olson. With me is Nathan Fox. Together, we're the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We have an anonymous email here. Oh, no, this is from Eric.
Yeah, this is from Eric, and November 30th is the score release date for the November 2022 LSAT, and we thought it was a good time to maybe talk about the newest, most recently released PrepTest 93. Eric has been getting questions in his classes. Is there anything noteworthy about PrepTest 93? Has the LSAT changed over time? Students ask whether newer prep tests are more useful for study than older ones. So we've been teaching PrepTest 93 in our classes. I've been writing written explanations for the logical reasoning. Abigail's working on written explanations for the reading comp. The whole team has been immersed in PrepTest 93, or at least we have. Anything like, is it the best thing ever? Should students focus on PrepTest 93? Is it different? Is it interesting in any way? What do you think of PrepTest 93?
No, I don't think it's interesting at all. It's just like any other test. I mean, I think tests generally are interesting. So in that sense, it's interesting, but it's no different than any other test we've done. In fact, the questions we were just doing yesterday in my class, I think we had 2 or 3 sufficient assumption questions for whatever reason, and they follow the same exact pattern. You just, hey, here's a premise, here's a conclusion. I need to get here. I can tell you what I think a great answer would be, and that was the answer in all those questions that we did. There was a question, a parallel reasoning question that I think you would love to hate because it had confusing sufficient for necessary, but the wrong answers had confusing sufficient for necessary and just did it in a different way.
I hate when they do that.
I knew you'd hate it. It was a relatively easy question though, because it was clearly done differently.
It was obvious that that's what they were doing.
Yeah. So
I didn't notice anything. I do hate when they do that. It's like such a silly technicality that it's like, okay, why do you guys have a fetish for the difference between 2 different kinds of fucking up the contrapositive? I mean, it's really the same mistake. Affirming
the necessary or negating the sufficient. That's the difference that they're going after.
And it's not fucking different. Like, well,
yeah.
The easiest way I think to understand sufficient and necessary is to just think about the town you live in and the state you live in. And if you live in your town, you have to live in your state. Okay. So obviously if someone doesn't live in your state, they don't live in your town. That's common sense. The LSAT will make a flawed argument that says if they don't live in your town, they can't live in your state. And that's dumb. They'll also make a flawed argument that says if they do live in your state, they have to live in your town.
Which is also dumb.
And that's also dumb. And it's the exact same dumb. You're just fucking up an if-then statement.
Yeah.
And the technicality of how it would look like if you diagrammed it doesn't matter because we don't diagram logical reasoning anyway. It's like they're rewarding overly formal LSAT prep when they ask those questions. I mean,
to be fair, in your example there, right? In one case,
I guess the evidence is different. The evidence in one case is this person lives in your state. The evidence in the other case was this person doesn't live in your town.
Yeah.
But in both cases, the error in reasoning, the actual error in logic that you're making is that you're just assuming that everybody who lives in my town everybody who lives in my state has to live in my town. Another way of saying that is if you don't live in my town, then you can't live in my state. But it's really the same stupid error. It's not like those are 2 different errors.
Yeah. And they're treating them as different things. They're saying, hey, if you affirm the necessary condition and then conclude that the sufficient condition is true, you've made a mistake that's different from denying the sufficient condition and therefore concluding that the necessary condition can't be true. Now, that's totally confusing. For anyone listening, they'd probably be like,
it makes no sense. As soon as you start talking about it, it makes no sense. But in common sense, a 4th grader understands why that argument is flawed. And there's so many other questions they could be asking. That's why it makes me mad that they do it. It's just like, you guys have this like open field. It's a wonderland. You could do anything you want with bad arguments. And instead you like are testing students on whether they can tell this technical difference between two otherwise logically identical flaws. It's just dumb. It's kind of like old school LSAT. They don't do it very much. I don't think they do it as much anymore. Is that like a difference with PrepTest, with not with 93 specifically? I mean, you saw it in one question. I didn't see anything like that anywhere on the questions I've done or written explanations for.
Well, I don't know if they did it that frequently in the past either.
Yeah,
I feel like I've only really like got pushback for that kind of issue in one question, like the 30s, something like that, or 60s. So I don't remember that happening.
Maybe it just seems more, it's so obnoxious when they do it that it makes it seem more present than it actually is.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it could be. I haven't looked at the games yet. How were the games? You looked at all 4 of the games, right?
Yeah, I thought they were easy.
And just normal, like nothing crazy, nothing new.
No,
nothing.
yeah. So when the, what was it? The viruses game came out. When I did that the first time, I was navigating a terrain that was slightly different than anything I had done before.
Right.
I didn't see any of that with these games. Everything had been done before.
Yeah. The viruses game is now what, 5 to 10 years old? It's been out for a while.
Yeah.
And that one is still the one from any recent test that really jumps out. Maybe I guess the offices, coworkers trading or selecting offices game.
Oh, yeah. The piece to fix or something like that. Is that what it was?
Oh, the work pieces game. That's another different one. No, I was talking about the office selection game. WXYZ selecting.
Oh, yeah. They get to pick
offices.
which one they want to be in. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Those are the 3. I don't know. Maybe there's something else in the last like decade.
Yeah. Those are the games where you have to say, oh, okay, I need to solve this. Like I solve all their games, but I can't just instantly latch on to a previously similar game.
Right.
But that was not the case with 93. Everything, it's like, okay, this has happened before and a lot before.
Okay.
Nothing
out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Ordering game or whatever. Yeah.
I'm still working my way through the reading comprehension in my classes. And maybe I did it all already. Yeah, I did it all. I think I missed one question. I can't remember why I fucked it up, but I did fuck it up. But that's not like really that much of a surprise. If I took the timed LSAT like for money, or, if you forced me to take the whole thing in a timed setting, I would drop one on reading comp. Sometimes I would drop one on logical reasoning. Maybe sometimes, probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe RC. I don't know.
I think of all the sections, if I'm going to drop a question, it's most likely going to be an RC.
Yeah. It's also
There's
the most
more
likely
words
that people
play,
are going to naturally be super, super good at it. Like that's the section where, because I think I remember starting really high in RC. Like you can just out of the box get -2.
Yeah.
Or
people start higher there, and it's reasonable to say it's harder to get that to -0 than the other two.
To -0, exactly. Yeah. But not harder to improve necessarily. I mean, people do improve a lot in reading comprehension. But yeah, nothing new from PrepTest 93. There wasn't anything there on the whole test that I thought was any different from any other previously released test. It's this, and I don't think it's any better or any worse for preparing. I think it's just another practice test.
Absolutely.
Sorry if that's a boring episode of the podcast, but if you want to know what we think about PrepTest 93, it's just like, yeah, it looks the exact same as it's been for 15 years.
Yeah. Even with that one question, right? Was that on test 93? No, that's on a different test. The one that said could be true, but need not be true.
It's literally 15 years since comparative reading.
Wow.
That was 2007. And comparative reading only affected 1 out of 4 questions on the reading comp. So that was the last time that the substance of the test actually changed, but it affects only 1 out of 4 of the passages on 1 out of 4 scored sections. So that was the thing that was a major enough change that they released a free practice test. Since then, there was one other major change that happened during COVID when they just dropped one of the sections of LR.
Yeah.
And that changed the balance of scoring on the test and everything. But yeah, other than that, the substance of the test right now just seems exactly the same.
Email daily at lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.